Hello everyone, my name is Sophie. Welcome to this video. This video is going to be dedicated to Elijah McClain. He was a young black man who lost his life at the hands of police. When I first heard about the story, there was barely any articles. I think there were about 5 or 6 articles on the internet about it, and that was it. I'd seen a tweet flying around, and this video of Elijah absolutely broke my heart. It made me cry more than I think I've ever probably cried in my life.
Happy
Surprise!
Happy late birthday!
Happy super late birthday.
Nice! Wait, really?
No, it's
Really?
really?
I was like, no way, this is a luau party.
There you go.
Wow.
He was a young, innocent black man whose life was taken far too soon and for absolute no reason. In this video, I'm going to tell you about what happened on the night of August 24th, 2019 with Elijah McClain and 3 police officers. I will let you know that I will be including images and a little bit of footage that may cause distress, so just please be warned. This video is probably the absolute hardest video I have and will ever have to make. I just want to point out and say I don't think it's right at all that anyone should lose their life to a cop because of the colour of their skin. And it is absolutely disgusting that in 2020 things like this is still happening, and they're happening daily. Not only are they happening, and not only are they happening daily, but the police officers who are involved in so many of these cases are having nothing happen to them. They are being put on paid leave until things quieten down, and they are brought back to the force as though nothing has happened. This is something that needs to change. Justice needs to happen. Justice needs to be served, and by served we mean consequences. Why is it that somebody should lose their life because of the colour of their skin, and the person that is taking that life is walking free in the world? Why are they able to go to Walmart, to 7-Eleven, go and get a bag of chips and carry on as though nothing has happened? You have killed somebody and you deserve to be locked up. The same way you want to lock up somebody because they're selling cigarettes on the side of the road. The same way you've locked up, only locked up, not killed, someone who's walked into a church and killed people. Innocent people that they've killed. Justice needs to be served. These families, these friends of these victims at the hands of police officers need justice. And this is where I stand. And if you don't like that, this video is not going to be for you. At all. Like I said, I do want to focus this video on Elijah McClain. I've waited a little while to make this video because I wanted to make sure I had families okay to do this. And I've spoken to Elijah McClain's sister Naomi, and she said this is fine for me to do. And I wanted to make sure I had that permission before I made this video. When I first heard of Elijah McClain's case, it was because a tweet was popping around. I saw this video of Elijah McClain's colleagues who surprised him with a birthday party, and quite frankly, I don't think there is a heart in the world who has watched this and not had tears in their eyes. When I first looked into this, there were about 5 or 6 articles on Elijah McClain, and that was it. And right there and then, that broke my heart even more. There hasn't been a moment in the past few weeks that I've known about this that I haven't thought about him, that I haven't wanted to fight and push for justice. Now when I go onto Google and I type in Elijah McClain, I am proud to see so many articles, I am proud to see so many videos, I am proud to see so much love that is going on and support of him and his family to try and get justice for what is happening. On August 24th, 2019, Elijah McClain had gone to the Shell gas station to buy tea, which I've read was for him and his cousins. Elijah McClain's family and friends knew that him and his sister were anemic, and that Elijah McClain would often wear a ski mask and a coat to keep himself warm because he got cold. An interview with a cashier afterwards says that this was normal. She knew who Elijah was, she knew why she wore the mask. She didn't feel endangered, she didn't feel like he was suspicious. You even see footage of him in the Shell gas station, bowing to the man behind him. And it said that he did this to show gratitude after he was speaking to somebody. The cashier said that Elijah came in and said hello to everybody and asked them how their day was. There were no signs that he was dangerous, there was no signs that he was sketchy. He was a cold young man who wore a ski mask to stay warm and bowed at the end of interactions to show gratitude. As he walked home, there was a 911 call to say that a guy looked sketchy, and the caller admitted that he did not think anyone was in danger, that he did not think Elijah looked dangerous. There was no crime that had happened nearby that he could be a suspect for, and 3 police officers turned up at the scene. Within 9 seconds of them turning up at the scene, an officer had already had his hand on Elijah McClain's arm. Elijah McClain had told them that he was just trying to take his earphones off so that he could hear the police officers' instructions. The police officers were raising their voices and talking at him as Elijah McClain just tried to explain that he is going home, to leave them alone, he is an introvert, and to please respect the boundaries he is speaking. As I said, it took all of 9 seconds for the police officer to leave the vehicle and place his hands on Elijah McClain's arm. 9 seconds it took. 9. To place your hand on a non-dangerous young man. The 3 officers that turned up at the scene were Nathan Woodyard, Jason Rosenblatt, and Randy Redeemer. After Elijah McClain asked the police officers to respect his boundaries, they slammed the 140-pound young man Elijah McClain against a brick wall. He was 140 pounds and there were 3 officers. Why was that needed? After they manhandled him and slammed him against the wall, one of the police officers' body cams had magically fallen off. Why do they get to do that? Elijah says he doesn't have a gun and he doesn't do that type of stuff. And one of the officers is speaking loudly so that the camera is able to hear it, and it says that Elijah reaches for one of the other officers' guns. The officers whose gun was apparently being tried to take even admitted he did not feel Elijah tried to take his gun at all. This is another way that the police are using the fact that the body camera fell off as a way to trick what we see and what we hear. How could Elijah reach for a gun and successfully take it when there's 3 officers around him? The officers place him in a carotid hold, and throughout Elijah is pleading with the police and telling them that he doesn't have a gun and he doesn't do that. Elijah speaks the famous words, "I can't breathe." He's crying and he's vomiting. Whilst he's vomiting, there is an officer on his back, whilst one of the other officers is watching him be sick, watching him struggle, watch him have another man kneeling on his back. And as all that is happening, the officer speaks to Elijah and says, "Stop messing around. If you carry on messing around, I will get my dog to bite you." This young man is scared for his life. He is having restrictive amount of blood flow because of the hold that he is in, because of the position he is in, because he is vomiting, because he is scared. And you have an officer standing and watching all this happen and saying that they're going to get a dog to come and bite him. How inhumane are you? How nasty are you? Because of the lack of blood flow, there are times that Elijah would go in and out of consciousness. And did they stop? No, they carried on. Whilst one of the officers is kneeling on his back, he tells another officer, "Move your camera out the way, dude." Is this not another red flag?
I don't know, sir. Stop.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. I can't breathe correctly because...
Move your camera, dude.
The officers spend time making fun of Elijah being sick and stand there watching as he is struggling. The police are still continuing to tell him to stop being sick and that they're applying full pressure to him as he struggles to breathe. Elijah replies with, "I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to do that. Sorry." Can you imagine vomiting and saying sorry because you're so scared? The ordeal is described as 15 minutes of torture, and this because one of the officers had been kneeling on Elijah McClain's back for 11 minutes. 11 minutes of someone leaning on your back as you are trying to breathe, as you are explaining to them that you can't breathe, as you're explaining to them that you are sorry, even though you did nothing wrong, Elijah. 11 minutes of being sick, 11 minutes of going in and out of consciousness. Can you imagine? The reason why the officer stopped after 11 minutes was because he got cramp. Yeah, because he got cramp, he stopped. He didn't stop because Elijah was in pain. He didn't stop because he thought it was wrong. He didn't stop because he was scared that Elijah would lose his life. He stopped because he got cramp. After he'd stood up, he'd asked for somebody to take over. At this point, there were multiple officers on the scene. I then went to all 3 of the officers kneeling on Elijah McClain's back. At which point officers said, "He's so strong." He tried to do a push-up with all 3 of us on his back. Elijah McClain weighed 140 pounds. I weigh a lot more than that, and I don't think I could still do a push-up with 1 person kneeling on my back. The police decided to report and say that Elijah McClain was very strong, even though there is footage of when the officers are bringing Elijah McClain down of him saying, "You guys are really strong," as he is scared. Throughout Elijah's consciousness times, he kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm afraid, I'm different, ow, it hurts, forgive me, I can't breathe." You hear him whimpering this throughout the horrific ordeal that he had to go through with those horrible, horrible cops. One of the times he passes out, a medic administers ketamine into his system to sedate him. Now he's already passed out at this point and they need to sedate him. They need to sedate somebody who only weighs 140 pounds. They need to sedate somebody who is unarmed. They need to sedate somebody who has not committed a crime. They need to sedate somebody who is not classed as dangerous. Why? Because then you can do as you please. Because then you can say, "Oh, it was this that killed him." One of the officers even admits that Elijah McClain was doing nothing criminal. Would you not stop after at least, 3 minutes on his back then? You did 11 minutes and then around 5 minutes of all 3 of you on his back. Did you not think at any point, guys, we're taking this a little bit far now? You just wanted to carry on? After being sedated on the way to the hospital, Elijah McClain suffered with a cardiac arrest. It's reported that he suffered with 2. The hospital staff had even said that he died on this Saturday, which was August 24th, which was the night that the police took his life. Please look at these images and tell me that this was okay to have happened. Look at these images and tell me that this was even okay to have happened to somebody who accidentally used a counterfeit bill. This is not okay for a police officer to be able to do this to somebody. The autopsy claimed that there was abrasions on his face, back and legs, and they ruled it as undetermined and could be homicide. There was an unwanted administration of ketamine and police are blaming that, yet they were the ones that okayed it and asked for it to be administered. If you look at his face and his body, his sister even says that this doesn't look like a medicine caused the damage. How could you... The ketamine was administered shortly before he was taken to hospital. How could ketamine have done that to somebody? It was the police. Look at his clothes. These were the clothes that were taken on the night that it happened. Look at his shirt. He was wearing a jacket. Why does it look as though a dog has chewed on it? Look at his trousers. Why is there blood everywhere? What were they doing with this camera being off? Look at his jacket. Why is it ripped in half pretty much? Why has it got blood everywhere? Look at his fucking face. Of course, as there was no full footage, so long as the officers say the right things so we can hear, they can do the damage that we don't get to see. Why did Elijah's face and body look like this? Why did Elijah die? Because he was a young black man, and police made sure that they took their chances with that. Nathan Woodyard, Jason Rosenblatt, Randy Redeemer, they were all placed on paid administration leave and went straight back to work. There is no justice that has been served for Elijah McClain or the McClain family. His friends, his family and employees describe him as caring, funny, kind, pure, makes everyone laugh, lights up a room. Why was his soul taken? He was a massage therapist. He played the violin and guitars at the local animal shelter so that they didn't feel alone because nobody wanted to adopt him. He was an introvert. He was different. And he was killed at the hands of police officers and police brutality. Elijah, just like so many black men, women and children, are killed purely for being black. That was it. Elijah was not seen as being dangerous. The police officers said that he didn't seem to be doing anything criminal at all. They could have searched him, they could have patted him down, they could have checked his bag, and he could have been on his way. Justice needs to be served. Justice needs to be served for Elijah, and justice needs to be served for every single black life that has been taken at the hands of a cop, at the hands of a racist. Elijah McClain, along with every black man, woman and child, needs justice. There should be no way that their life is any less than anybody else's because of the colour of their skin. Cops, members of the public, hunting, chasing, killing black people because they're black. There are too many lives being lost at the hands of police because they are black. There are too many that are not caught on camera. There are too many that have not been made public. There are too many that justice has not been served for yet. There are too many with families and friends still fighting and praying and hoping. This needs to end. Justice needs to be served. I hope the McClain family get the justice they deserve. And I hope Elijah understands how many souls he's touched and how many hearts he's touched. He seemed like such an incredible person. And he shouldn't have died because he's black. I will leave links to things in the down bar if you want to check anything out. And like I said, if you want to add any information, please do so in the comments. All I'm asking for is people to be part of this fight. Let's be people part of this movement. Because this can't go on much longer. It needs to stop. It needs to stop.